What's up, guys? Pachata Rockstar here, doing another Star Realms replay video. This game today is going to be with player named Thotal. It's a really interesting game. A lot of back and forth. I get very lucky right at the end, and let's see how it goes. It's gonna be fun. Got a lot to say on this game. Okay, so right off the bat, 1, 2, 3 trade. I pick up cargo pod. I'm actually not that big of a fan of this play. I think getting the Falcon or the Stellar Reef or the Lancer might actually be a better play. The reason you pick up cargo pod is to get really high cost cards, and there's really nothing high cost out there. There's nothing that I can't afford, which is scouts. So I think the better play here is to try to pick up Stellar Reef or try to pick up Falcon or Lancer, depending upon how aggressive I want to go. The other reason I'm kind of leaning towards Lancer, if I was going to pick something up, would be the fact that there's a central station out there, and the likelihood of my opponent picking that up is pretty high. So getting the Lancer would sort of preemptively give me the damage to kill it. So, yeah. But we get cargo pods, so we gotta live with it. Yep, and there it is. My opponent picks the central station. That's unfortunate. And central station is one of those cards where it alters your entire game plan. Everything has changed now. Like, my original strategy of maybe get some trade, maybe get some big cards, get some damage later, everything's changed now. So now I need to play around it. I need to completely alter my game plan, and I need to blunt the effectiveness of it. So I need to either acquire enough damage to kill it, or keep bases and blue cards away from my opponent, so that way they can't fully utilize Central Station in all its glory. So I went with the latter, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up Stellar Reef and Patrol Cutter here. Oh, God, really unfortunate to flip an Oracle. He definitely has enough trade to get it. Remember, he had 4 on his first turn. So picking up the Oracle here is a pretty clear play for my opponent. And I need to start getting damage now. I cannot sit back any longer. Yep, there it is, Oracle. So, best play here, probably the Ravager. Or Lancer. Maybe Starbarge Lancer. Falcon's pretty good too. Like, I need to try to cycle into my cards faster. So, you know, there's a Peacekeeper out there too. I don't really want to let my opponent pick up Peacekeeper. So maybe Ravager is good because then I could destroy it. But I think Falcon is actually the correct play here. Because if I go with the Falcon, then the likelihood of me actually getting 6 trade and getting the Peacekeeper myself goes way up. So it's a little bit of a gamble. It's a gamble to sort of leave the Peacekeeper out there, but there's nothing I can do about that now. My opponent's going to get a crack at it anyway. But I'm not going to cycle for another 2 turns. So I got to do everything that I can to try to snag that. Either snag the Peacekeeper or get rid of it. So I think Falcon's actually the correct play here. Ooh, super lucky. And the other thing that I knew was going to happen, so it's entirely possible my opponent was going to pick up Peacekeeper and we'd be screwed. So the other reason that you pick up Falcon is because both Vipers were in that hand. I knew that I was going to draw all trade, so minimum, I'd have 5 trade. And if my opponent grabbed Peacekeeper, that means I could go Lancer, Ravager, and then just go nuts and go ham. But if my opponent doesn't get Peacekeeper, there's a really high likelihood that I was going to get Peacekeeper. Yep. And then we managed to get Lancer too. Okay, so we've got a plan now, right? Use the Peacekeeper for damage, use the Lancer for damage, and then get as much card draw as we possibly can. Right? That's kind of the plan. My opponent is going long. My opponent is buying bases. My opponent is going to play a base, scrap, long game strategy. So I kind of need to play a little bit faster. I need to take bases away from my opponent, and I need to take blues, healing, and scrap away from my opponent. So that's kind of the thought process. Oh, wow, look at this play. Boom. Oh, incredible. Yeah, and then my opponent grabs the trade dollar. Doesn't grab the other star barge. I like that play a lot, too. So plenty of trade for anything that's out there. And now they've also left me with two out of the 5 being somewhat shitty options, too. So I like this play. And now this also screws me up because now I have to scrap my Stellar Reef to make sure that they don't have, 3 bases out there. So I grab the Bioformer. My thinking is I got to keep bases away. Unfortunately, I flip another Bioformer, but the thinking was let's keep bases away. It's damage, it's defense. My opponent doesn't have a lot of damage. Maybe Bioformer lives for a couple of turns. It's beneficial to my deck, but it also keeps it away from my opponent, in theory. Again, assuming another Bioformer doesn't flip, which it does. But theoretically, it was a play to keep it away. Ooh, look at that draw. That's a sexy draw. Ah, darn it. My opponent scraps the Frontier Station, though. That would have been a nice card for us, too. It's good, though, that they're doing that, because that means that they don't have 6 trade, and they can't pick up the Frontier Station, which would have been really bad for our deck. Giving them 4 bases, 2 of them red, 1 of them that scraps, both that protect, would have been devastating. Oh, man. Don't tell me they have 3. No! Okay, and so this is my opponent's plan, right? Trade to a control, whittle me down with damage, protect with bases, scrap down. Very good thought process. I like this decision making. I like what my opponent is doing. Obviously I don't like it in terms of me trying to win, but I like their thought process. And then picks up a Skeef 2, and I believe that was a Swarmer just before then. Let's make sure. Yeah. Right, so there's the game plan, right? Efficient green damage. Bases. Healing. Right? This is the plan. It's a really good plan. It's a good plan. They're playing for the long game. I like the thought process here. So we luck out. We managed to get enough damage. Right? I knew I was going to have enough to get the repair bot, so we're going to go ahead, pick up this orbital platform, and again, this goes back to our strategy, right? Our strategy is becoming even more and more clear. Grab as much card draw as we possibly can. We're not going to win a scrap game. I'm still going to buy a scrapper, but we're not going to win on scrap. My opponent's scrap is better than ours. So what we're going to win on is damage and card draw. That's the plan. I want to do everything I can to draw Peacekeeper and Patrol Cutter over and over and over and over and over again. And then just widen the gap. Excuse me. Okay. My opponent has a mediocre turn. Grabs a Bioformer, though. So maybe we can start to push. Cargo Pod again. If I can try to get that loyal colony, try to keep it away. That's sort of the thought process here. But it's also damage, and it does combo with greens, and it does keep a blob away from my opponent, too. So I think it's fine. Kind of the only card that you could buy anyway. See, my opponent has signaled they're going for that loyal colony, right? If they were afraid that I was going to get it, they would have scrapped the loyal colony and then just bought the Bioformer again. Or wait, was it a Bioformer? No. Okay, excuse me. They would have scrapped the loyal colony and then just bought the command center for themselves, right? Another base, another blocker. But what happens here is when you flip this convoy bot, man, and then flip a predator, okay. So now my opponent can play kind of half base, half aggro scrap. I love what's going on here. Really good decisions. Because remember, if you build a base deck, you're still going to have to kill your opponent somehow, right? And if you give your opponent too many turns, then the base wall kind of does nothing, right? You're just you're playing too defensively. So I like what my opponent is doing here. Is they're realizing, all right, I have to win this game at a certain point, and just pure bases is not going to do it. So I like this sort of hybrid base strategy. It's really smart. And we don't get 7, so we don't get loyal colony, but hey, Parasite's pretty good. And I scrap because I'm just getting rid of it. Getting rid of the damage. Scrapping at this point is kind of irrelevant now. We're just got to draw cards. We got to draw cards and damage, and we just got to go ham and go face. That's the new plan. Not the new plan. That was the original plan, but this is what we're trying to do. See? Boom, boom. Scrap, scrap. Oh, God, this is terrible. But good news is, didn't get the third base. So, still a chance. We're still doing okay. All right, and we get enough to kill the base. This is good. This is good. Scrap, scrap. Get loyal colony. Good. We're keeping bases away. This is all good. This is what we want. I really just... If my opponent has loyal colony, it's over. It sucks that they're going to be able to get a predator, but I think we're going to be okay. If we do win this game, we're probably going to win with like 5 life left or something. You know, it's going to be like just enough life. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, God. Man, okay, hey, we managed to pick up the Predator ourselves, so that was kind of good. Even though there was a lot of damage, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. All right, our opponent picking up another Predator would have been really bad. Oh, no, no, no! Oh, good. Whew, whew, okay, okay, all right. This is not good, but this is not terrible. Right? We can now pick up Imperial Palace. We have enough damage to kill the bases. Yeah, we're down to 15, but we still have Peacekeeper. We're on the ropes, but we're not out of it. Yep, picks up a base, picks up a draw. This is all good plays. Okay, okay. All right, hey, we got a good draw here. All right, if we don't die, we have a shot. My opponent scraps. Good, good, fine. Okay, picks up another scrapper. Probably don't need to do that at this point. I think just trust your deck at this point. Or if you were going to pick up something, I'd say pick up Gunship. Give yourself more damage. You don't need to scrap when your opponent is going to be down to single digits, right? You need to just acquire all the damage you can. Or just buy nothing. Right? Buy nothing. How does Mining Mech help me? It really doesn't. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, more card draw, more healing. Okay, okay. Got to make my opponent get rid of a card. Cool. I don't even know if we're going to see that card, but it's worth a look. Okay, again, if we don't die, we might live. We might win. All right, 6. No second Ravager, no second Ravager. Oh, God, Swarmer. Oh, yes! Okay, okay. We just need 15. We need 15. And I know we've got some damage cards left. This is our shot, though. If we don't kill him now, we probably lose on the next turn. Draw, Predator, draw. Yes! Victory for Sylvanas, a.k.a. us. Sylvan, us. Little WoW reference for you guys. Oh! Whew! Whew! Close. Really, really close. We got very lucky in a sense that my opponent only got off the base strategy, right? Only got off the central station one time. That's it. And that was right in the beginning of the game. So it didn't really affect the game that much. So you'll notice what we did here is we had to further our strategy, but that strategy was to counter the base strategy. Central Station changed everything. It warped the entire game, and it forced me to make a lot of decisions that might seem a little counterintuitive, that might seem a little odd, but they were all in furtherance of trying to blunt Central Station's power. So, what was nice what ended up happening is my opponent added just enough cards that weren't bases to make their base strategy ineffective. So you notice what ended up happening is they started just kind of going, I'll just grab some damage, and I'll grab some scrap, and and so the plan got a little muddied. And the plan got muddied because we were trying to counter it. We were countering it with a lot of our decisions. And that's really the power of playing your opponent's deck and playing your opponent's game plan and your opponent's thought process, is you can do things to counter it. You can do things to beat those particular strategies. And that's when you start playing the high level Star Realms. When it's like, what's my opponent thinking? What's my opponent's game plan? How do I counter that game plan? What can I do? How do I win versus what my opponent is doing? When you start thinking like that, that's when you start really playing the really high level Star Realms. So I gotta give my opponent a lot of credit. I like pretty much all the decisions that Thotal made. It was a well-played game and almost won. Absolutely could have won. In fact, if I don't have Peacekeeper, I think they do win. I got very lucky to pair Peacekeeper up with Patrol Cutter twice, which gave me, 10 damage and healed for 10. So I had two 20-point swings in this game, and I still only won by 8 life. So that just goes to show how much my opponent was also tuned in and was also trying to, was playing the game state pretty well. Pretty darn well, I would say. I'd say the only problem was just kind of didn't pick a strategy and stuck with it. I'm not saying you should always stick with a strategy, but in this case, something like a base strategy, you have to kind of just full on commit. And your opponent knows what's going on if they're paying attention. So I think Thotal would have been better served by just buying every single base that was available and letting the scrap and letting the 2 Ravagers win the game. That's how I think they would have won, instead of going more aggressive, because I didn't have any scrap. All I had was a few bases and some card draw. And so the best thing for Thotal to do would have been to just play very defensively and let their scrap edge win the game. So what started as a long game strategy eventually turned into an aggressive strategy. But the problem is you had too many other cards that weren't really proactive enough to win the game. Whereas for myself, it was all about get yellows, get card draw, get damage, go for the face. This is the plan. Buy bases to keep them away from my opponent, but go face for the most part. And I was lucky enough to realize my strategy sooner than my opponent was able to do so. So that's the thing you got to remember. There are 2 strategies that are unbeatable if you can pull them off. A base strategy and a discard strategy. The problem is they're also the hardest to enact. They're the hardest to get enough cards to make it really happen. So if you are going to go for those strategies, you have to just fucking go for them. And everything you do furthers that strategy. And what my opponent is thinking, be damned. Right? But the problem is, if you do go for those strategies, it allows your opponent a chance to counter strategy. It's tough. There are benefits and drawbacks to every strategy. And it's up to you to figure out what's the right one for this particular game and this particular opponent. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time.